Welcome everybody. So today I have the brand new Poco M4 Pro, and I'll go over unboxing along with a quick spec look at the device itself and just maybe a brief look on how it actually performs, considering it is running on a Helio G96. So before, I believe Pocos were running on like Snapdragons, not the top flagship Snapdragons, but still Snapdragons. So I'm kind of curious how this will perform, though I won't be doing any benchmarks, at least right now. So anyway, let's get straight to it. So there we go, let's open it up. Okay, so under here we get the phone. Now I will turn it on right away just so it gives me the actual setup. Okay, it's turning on right now. And before I actually move to the phone, I'm gonna look what's else in here. So we are getting a charger, which is a nice inclusion. We are getting cable, so this is a Type C, most likely to Type A. There we go, you can see the Type A end right here. I don't want to like take this off completely, so there we go. So there's a Type C and Type A. And obviously the charger itself, so this is a 33 watt charger. So not only is it included with the device, it also is a decent charger. So there we go. Now here we get the phone, so let's just pop it out. No, I have to just take this off, so let's do that. Actually, before I do, let's just take a look at what we got here right here. So we're looking at a 90 Hz refresh rate, Full HD Plus AMOLED dot display. I'm not sure what they mean by dot display, but okay. We have a 64 megapixel high resolution triple camera. I don't think all of them are 64 megapixels, so this is just for one. We got a 33 watt Pro fast charging and a 5000 mAh battery, and a high performance MediaTek Helio G96 chipset right here. So anyway, let's just pop it open then, now that we are aware of what we're getting in here. And there we go. I'll put this right away just so you can get a quick look on how this actually looks with the case. There we go. Looking really good. Okay. So, I'm gonna quickly go over the setup right here, just so we can get a look at the, oops, not Polish. Where is it? English. So while I'm going through the setup, I'm gonna quickly go over the specs, at least of the display right now. So we are looking at a 6.43 inch display, 1080p by 2400 resolution. It's obviously an AMOLED, like the little pen flip, this one stated. And it peaks out brightness at about 1000 nits. It has a 84.5% screen to body ratio with 409 pixels per inch. So by all means, this is actually a really decent display. So I can't really complain on that front. And keep in mind, like I mentioned before, this device has Helio G96 chipset, but to be fair, it might be more of a budget chipset, but the device is also on a more budget side with actually a fairly decent spec sheet, I would say, especially for the price that it comes in. So actually we'll get the price right out of the way. So this comes at around 200 euros, and for 200 euros this is a really decent device. So anyway, let's keep on going. While this is setting up, I'm gonna flip it over to the camera setup right here. So we're looking at a triple camera setup, though like the little sticker mentioned, only one of them is a 64 megapixels, not 3, and the wide sensor is the 64, which is probably the biggest one, obviously, right up here. And then we're looking at a 8 megapixel ultra wide and 2 megapixel sticker macro camera. The reason why I call it sticker camera is just because it's gonna be a absolute garbage and it's still setting up. So I was gonna show you just an example of how macro shots look like when compared to even what the phone itself has here, which is a 64 megapixel wide, which by experience it's most likely going to do better than the macro. So there we go. So there's our home screen. Let's see, are we running stock? So this looks like it's 60 right now, so that's not the best option. I'm gonna change it straight away to 90. Yep, it's 60. So, whoop, there we go. And now we're looking at 90, much smoother. Okay, so let's open up our camera, and this is going to be just a really brief kind of example of what I mean by a sticker camera. So let's just find more, and where is the macro shot? How the heck do I take the macro shot? Does it do an AI macro? Nope. Portrait, more. I genuinely cannot find it. That's fantastic. Oh, there we go. Finally. Now you know it's gonna be garbage when it's hidden somewhere else. So let's just capture a... I'm gonna move this a little bit more to the forefront. I am missing a little bit of light in this. I'm gonna bring my little light right here closer. Okay, so it looks like this is as close as I can get before the photo actually becomes blurry. And now let's move over to, again, photo, but without macro. Actually, no, let's go here. 64 megapixels, there we go. And let's do the same thing. Now for the 64, I do need to move the camera a little bit further back. There we go. So let's take a look at the two photos. So here we have the 64. I'm gonna move the light a little bit further. So here we go. This is the 64. Looking okay-ish. It's nothing that's gonna blow you away, but it does keep majority of the detail. The colors of it are a little bit iffy. I'm not gonna say that they're good. And if we look at now the actual macro, which is right here, macro looks a little bit more janky. I think colors might be a little bit better on here, at least of this, and the colors behind there are completely overblown. But yeah, it honestly did better than I expected, but it's still nothing to boast about when compared to this. I think this looks better in general. There is way more detail. There is a more subtle bokeh effect around the edges right there. Macro will just kind of get up close, and usually it doesn't do the greatest job. Now, just to put that in perspective, I'm gonna whip out my phone, which is a fairly dated phone at this point, but it was a flagship, and frankly at this point it costs as much as this, and it could actually outperform this, I think. But anyway, I do also have a macro, although for me it's called super macro. And what I can do is actually get really up close here. There we go. So here's a comparison of what actual like decent macro looks like. So here we go. This is not even like fully zoomed in, and you can see that this is kind of getting wild compared to what this phone did. So here we go. This is in a macro, so comparing it to macro, it obviously, like here you have virtually a side by side. This one having so much more detail, it's not even funny. So here we go. So yeah, keep in mind this is also a several-year-old phone, so this is something that came out recently, and it's outperforming it in terms of the macro and probably overall the camera department. So anyway, let's just move out of the cameras. Obviously this is more of a budget device, so cameras are expected to not be the best, and they aren't. Now moving on to the next thing, we have just the pure specs of it. So where is it? We have a built-in SD card, we have storage of 2 different versions, and also RAM with 2 different versions. The one that I have right here is the more spec'd out one, so the higher model, which is the 256GB storage and 8GB of RAM. There is also a 128 with 6 gigs of RAM. I believe the €200 price tag is more for the lower end rather than the high end, so take that with consideration here. But yeah, anyway, so there we go. There's the storage. Like I mentioned before, 5000 mAh battery, and everything that you'd expect, like the typical things like NFC and stuff like that are probably here. Yep, NFC is. We have hotspot Wi-Fi. I don't think we have anything like Wi-Fi 6 or anything like that, so that's a little bit of a bummer. And yeah, that's about it for the specs, to be honest. There's not much more to say. It's more of a budget device. Has a fingerprint sensor on the side, meaning on the power button, volume markers, and not much to it. Ooh, whoa, we actually have a headphone jack. I wasn't expecting that. And we also have an IR blaster, which is this thing right here, which allows you to use this device as a remote control. Now, just to finish this off, I'm gonna go over just a little bit of an info, or just a perspective that I have right here. So this, considering it costs about €200, is roughly as much as this device would cost right now, used. So, or maybe it could be even cheaper. And to compare these two, this is running, I actually don't know how the processor would compare, but I imagine it compares similarly, if not better. So performance-wise, it might be better on this device, though I'm just guessing at this point. So don't take my word, at least on the processor side. But we also have AMOLED display. There is no 90 Hz, so this one has a better display, curved, wireless charging, decent battery life, and obviously way better cameras. So yeah, for the same price, or possibly even cheaper, you're gonna get this. And if you're looking something to take photos with, obviously this will be a significantly better device over this one. So that is something to consider. And that's something that I would overly advise to consider. Looking for older devices, used ones, or maybe new, but like old ones. So as an example, a great example would be something like a Samsung Galaxy S8. It's an older device by now. It's still an amazing phone, but it will be cheaper or as expensive as this while being better, just because it's already outdated as heck. So that is something to consider. So yeah, anyway, that being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.